Another impulse buy to add to the Transformers collection. Ratchet from Prime 1 Studios is here. While I didn't have any quality control issues, there's definitely some design issues. Hey guys, this is the Extreme Channel. My name is Mr. X. We're all about extreme collectibles, and this $1,200 Transformer statue is not an exception. So this is Ratchet, not your traditional Generation 1 Transformers, but Ratchet from the Michael Bay movies. A Bayformer, if you will. And as I've said in many of these reviews, these pieces are pretty controversial. People either love them or hate them. I was a big fan of the first Transformers movie. It kind of went downhill from there. Now, Ratchet, I was not actually a fan of. I think he's one of the only ones I do not own from that movie. But he's made by Prime 1 Studios, and they had a summer sale in 2020.
He was either 10 or 20% off, and shipping was only $40 economy style, so I put him in my cart, and here he is in the collection. Now, the biggest reason I didn't want to get him is I think his pose is really awkward, and I'm kind of indifferent towards the character. And if you're a follower of the channel, you know that recently I reviewed their Jazz statue right here, and I was incredibly disappointed. Probably the worst one they put out, at least in my opinion, although some people love him. And my bar was pretty low for Ratchet, but other than some design stuff we're going to talk about, I'm pleasantly surprised and satisfied. That's what she said.
So we're going to do an in-depth review today. We're going to talk about the concept, paint, sculpt, but before we do that, we're doing a statue giveaway. Check it out. We are going to hit 20,000 subscribers in 2020. To do that, we're giving away a statue every 2,500 subs. At 15,000 subs, the winner will get to choose between these two PCS Mortal Kombat statues. Make sure that you've liked this video, you've subscribed to the channel, and you've hit that bell notification. Then stay tuned towards the end of this video to find out how to enter. So as always, let's start out with concept of this piece. And remember, with these Michael Bay Transformer pieces that Prime 1 Studios does, you only see them in robotic form. But what's cool about Ratchet and some of the other ones, you can see some of what he transforms into. The base is not surprising. It has the Autobot symbol on the front. It's very futuristic, Cybertronian, a little bit of detail, a little bit more than jazz, but still pretty boring nonetheless. What really makes Ratchet pop is his colors. Obviously, he's yellow like an emergency medical vehicle, and I believe in the cartoons he was originally red, but he was also some type of, emergency medical vehicle, whether it was a fire rescue or an ambulance. And he's standing there in the standard Prime 1 Studios museum pose, but what I really didn't like about him before I got him in person was the actual shape of his pose. So moving up, you can see a lot more of the inner workings of him, like the shocks and tires and wheels underneath the casing that's separated from what he transforms into. And that's what I really like about the Michael Bay Transformers. It's a realistic way that if Transformers existed. But what I really didn't like is when you get to the top, his pose. Him putting his hands on his very high hips. I thought it was not imposing. I thought it kind of looked stupid. It does look much better in real life. I like how on the top you can see the front of the grille, you see the wheels, the mirrors, the car doors, all of that in the back. Then you see some of the red stripes on the car. It definitely gives it more color. So I think this is definitely one that looks better in person, and I don't mind the hands on the hips as much as I thought I would. So it's your typical Transformer. He's on a very plain base with some futuristic elements. He's in a museum pose, which means he's kind of standing for a picture. Putting these into some type of action dynamic pose would almost be impossible because it would take up a ton of space. Or like say you made them mid-transformation, I think that would be an issue as well because you couldn't really tell what it is. One thing I do like, XM Studios, who I have Starscream coming any day now, this piece right here, they include a miniature model of what he turns into. While the scale kind of bothers me a little bit, I think that's a neat step, where this one, if you've never seen the movie, you'd have to kind of guess what he transforms into, or you wouldn't even know he's a Transformer, he just looks like a robot. So on the concept, it's not very exciting. It's a 3 out of 5 on this piece. He's not very imposing. I like his size. He's not gigantic like some of the other pieces, but he's not too small like Jazz was. And the colors really help make it pop. But let's talk about the design of this piece, which sucks. Just being very straight out with you. Thankfully, I had no quality issues for the most part. So first thing we'll look at is the assembly. as I said in the assembly, this is where some of the design problems come in. First of all, the directions, as I said, were horrible. They showed pictures of pieces that didn't even look like what you assembled to the statue. By trial and error, I eventually figured it out, but some of the pieces, like they were all yellow, but it was a completely different shape. So I don't know what was going on there. Second, just like the typical Transformers directions, it actually zooms in so close you can't tell which part of the statue this is. Now what was interesting on this piece is they used a lot more magnets and even just some gravity, like these antennas up top are just sitting in, and that's an issue. I moved them earlier and one of the back windows, this right here, actually fell and broke and I had to glue it. There are so many things that are just magnetized in. I think that's a big risk. I mean, you have a $1,200 statue and I essentially probably just lost $200 worth of value because the magnet wasn't strong enough, and I literally moved it like that. Let's get the dimensions on him. Again, like I said, I do like the size of this piece compared to some of the other ones. 20 inches is the widest point. It's about 14.5 on the depth. And the tallest point, which is the antenna, which obviously are removable, is about 25 3/4. Otherwise, it's about 24 inches where this mirror is. Now with that space, he's going to look great with my other Transformers. If you want to see what that looks like, there's actually an Extreme Channel Facebook page where I post pictures. You can check out the link. It's in the description of this video. Make sure to go to that page and not only follow it, but like it as well so you can get updates when I post pictures of stuff like that. So the design of the piece, as far as the intricacies of it, I think that falls more into the sculpt. The design is more about did it fit well together. It does it is slightly raised from the bottom. Here's a picture of that right here. So a little bit of a quality issue that I was talking about, but nothing horrible. The thing I always worry with these Transformers, if I ever sell them, is one thing I always worry about these Transformers is if I ever sell them, they're packed so well and there's so many pieces, I wonder if they'd survive the trip again. So who knows about that. But very frustrating that I got a broken piece because the magnet is so bad. Very frustrating. This should take 10 minutes to assemble and it takes 30. Thankfully, that's all done now. When I move it over to that section on the other side of the room, hopefully he stays together. But for a lot of those reasons, I have to give the design a 2 out of 5. It is ugly. And I'm not talking about the characteristics of the statue. That's just a word I use when I rate something a 2. But now we'll dive into the paint and sculpt, and I quite like it on this piece. There's some things we see in all the Transformers statues, but they kind of made it their own. So starting at the base here, again, very boring, very Cybertronian. It's that gray metallic feel. The grates are a little bit more clean. The Autobot symbol on the front looks fine. You have some of the Cybertronian writing on the side. Definitely could have been improved, make it pop, but when you're looking at these pieces, the base is not the star of the show, and I appreciate that they're all very similar, so it follows the line. Taking a look at the yellow parts, so the outer body of the vehicle here, you have a few different things going on. First, I like that he's not super clean. So he's been in battle, he's the medic, he still fights. So you see a lot of dirt and rust and weathering on it. I think that was a smart choice. It makes him not too bright. I like at the top here how you see some of the, like I said, the red racing stripes on him. Even though he's an emergency response vehicle, it gives a lot of color to the statue and a little bit to his personality. You see the words fire on the insides of his leg there. That's nice. Check out a lot of these inner workings from the wheels on his knees. Pretty cool. Some shocks at the bottom. Some engine parts behind these as well. So then you see some of the tires. Not only the spare tire on the back, but he has some other tires up on his hips. And then his shoulders as well. Search and rescue fire department decals on the doors. A lot of pieces of the vehicle here, and that's what I really like, when he still looks like a robot, but you can definitely tell that he was part of the vehicle. And you'll see in a lot of these, like check out the front grille here, I think that looks awesome, and I'm not talking about his face, we'll look at that in a second. But even on the back here, a lot of detail that, where I'm displayed, you'll see part of his back if you walk around it, but a lot of people put them in a cabinet or against the wall. You miss out on all this extra stuff they did, but it looks pretty cool. Even the inner workings of his arms, all that circuitry, so you see some robotic stuff, you see some car engine stuff. And we'll take a look at his portrait. As I've said in many reviews, I don't like these portraits, but I appreciate how they were done. Like I said, they're very realistic, that if you had a car that had thousands of tiny pieces that transformed, it would create a robotic face like this. And this is very accurate to the movie. So while I don't prefer it, I still think the paint and sculpt on it are done well. So paint, I'm really impressed by this piece. They dirtied the engine a little bit. We didn't talk too much about that. It's not too much, and it seems like it's very calculated. It's around some pieces that should be dirty. I think the paint's a 4 out of 5 on this piece. I was worried about the yellow color, but I think it flows really, really nice. And sculpt, they did a very nice job. I'm a lot more impressed with this piece than I thought I would be. I don't like it as much as the Ironhide I recently reviewed, and you can check that out at a playlist at the end. But I think the sculpt's a 4 out of 5 on this piece too. A lot more detail, I think, that overcomes the pose I didn't like. Now, one interesting thing I didn't really talk about, right here, this piece is optional, which you may have seen during the assembly. It's kind of a weapon or a blade, and I like that it gives him something, so he doesn't look like that much of a pansy with his hands on his hips. We'll talk about value. So he retails at $1,200. Like I said, I got him a few $100 cheaper than that. And then they made $750. Now, traditionally, they make a regular version and an exclusive version. The exclusive version typically has like an additional switch out part or something of that nature. There is no exclusive with this. It's $750 an all-in, and he's been out for a number of years, so he's not a highly sought-after statue. And I think I'm going to say a lot of the same things I said with Jazz. That he is not, if you're going to buy 1 or 2 Transformers statues, this is not for you. However, if you're doing most of the line or all of the line, you're definitely going to get him. So I don't think the value is very high, even though with these Transformers statues, I say this every time during these reviews, they resell for a lot. Once they're sold out, you typically see them flipping for 20 to 100% more. So I don't think you can go wrong, but at $1,200, I think the value is a 3, right in the middle, a 3 out of 5. Like I said, he's not a really sought-after character, but he's done really well. Does he have the X factor? Is he a 5 out of 5 statue? If you're new to the channel, that's not a cumulative score. That's just, will I do a double take when I walk by him? The color helps that a lot. I know that seems small.
That's what she said.
But honestly, it really does make a difference. And all the intricate parts on him help a lot. He's not a 5 out of 5 statue, but I'm going to give him a 4 out of 5, which kind of shocks the hell out of me. He was the one I was the least interested in, and I like him better than a few others. I've actually done a countdown of my favorite Transformers statues, and I've added quite a few since then, but you can check it out right here. So throw down in the comments what you think of Ratchet, what you think the best Transformers statue is. Anytime you comment, it actually helps your chances to win that statue. To win one of these Mortal Kombat statues, all you have to do is comment on a video. At 15,000 subscribers, I'm going to pick a random video and pick a random comment. That person will win the prize. They can choose between these 2 pieces. Also, make sure you're subscribed to the channel. XM Studios Starscream is coming very, very soon. So if you haven't subscribed, you can do it by hitting that Mr. X logo and then the bell notification. In the meantime, while you wait, we launch videos every day at 4 p.m. Eastern, and you can check out some of these other playlists until I talk to you tomorrow. Take care.